Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Noel Zone. This is the Tarda Zone Talks. I hope you're all doing well. We are here for the legend of Ruby Sunday. Sorry, I'm a bit late. As you know, Google wanted this two-step verification thing, and I had forgotten all my codes and passwords and stuff like that. So I've actually been locked out of the Tarda Zone channel. I've only been able to access it through StreamYard, but I got it fixed, so we're all good and ready to go. So that's why we're late, but we will be finishing before 8 because I am watching the Euros, and there is a match on at 8, and I want to watch that match because the football is being absolutely brilliant. Nicholas Horton says, hi, Noel, I kind of like this episode. Well, I will get into it. I have sent me emails to all the panelists just to give you a bit of a heads up. I know I'm a bit late, so that's my fault. It's nice to see Chris Persia in the chat as well, and just a big up again, as I said, you know, as most of you know, or some of you don't know, Clobbering Times, you know, is no longer with us, and he was a guest on this channel, and I also guested on his channel, and all his friends and his family have been doing tribute streams in honor of him, and we will do the same because he was I have to say, he was always supporting my channel. Even if I popped into the chat and I hadn't seen him in weeks, he'd see me in the chat and he would, you know, he would acknowledge me and give me a shout out. Lovely man. And it's sad because, again, there's just so many people just that we know passed away. And of course, when he passed away, my first thought, I thought of old Alpha Omega. And we've lost two good men there, but at least they're there together now, and they can, you know, get the old Blake 7 ready for the rest of us when the rest of us join you. So yeah, let me see. Did I give you Noel? You might want to resend it. There's nothing in my inbox. Right, I'm gonna have to send you all the emails again. It looks like, because nobody is actually in the studio, so I don't know what's happened there. But I'll do that now. There's no big deal. But just getting on to the legend. I've only got two negatives actually this week. But one is a big major negative, I've got to say. But I will add the pretext or the context that I have to wait until the second episode before I judge on a certain thing. But what I've seen so far, or at the end of the episode, I think you all know what I'm talking about. It's Zootech, but we'll get into it. I've only got two negatives. One, as I said, is the Zootech one's a big one, and the other one is not really, you know, I mean, it's not really a negative, but I suppose it's the current trend of Doctor Who, or New Who, I should say. But you know, overall, listen, I said it on the night I watched it, or the afternoon I watched it, I should say. It's the best episode that he has written since he's come back. The cliffhanger was amazing, except for the CGI. I mean, the CGI is awful, but as I said, we'll have to wait till the second episode, because I think that's, you know, Zootech was just appeared in there. But the CGI is bad looking. I'm not going to lie. The CGI did look a bit awful there. But that's my complaint. And the other complaint is just, you know, RTD likes to do this melodrama. And I just felt that there was a little bit too much of it. And if you had just moved it along a little bit quicker, I mean, he didn't even need to add anything more to it because it was actually a decent story. Believe it or not, we actually got a decent story this week. This was the thing. When you get a decent script and Shooty gets a decent script, well, we all saw what Shooty can achieve if he's given a decent script. I thought it was his best performance, if I'm quite honest with you. The only problem that it has, obviously, it's because it's been so shit. You know, the ratings for this were low again, and it seems that it is at some stage it's going to go under the 2 million mark if it continues its current trend in the overnights now. Now, hold on. I've sent Charlotte, I've sent PD, I've sent Cinnamon, and I've got Matt to send an email to as well. But I already sent all of these emails, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe it was when I was trying to sort out the shit. Maybe it reset it. But there you go. Last email is sent out right now. And then we'll get our panelists on. But as I said, it's such a pity because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, he's written, 9 episodes? Well, not 9 all of himself, but whatever he's given us so far hasn't been good enough. And then he comes out with this, and then you're like saying to yourself, well, what the fucking hell, RTD? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I might say, no, I'll check your messenger. Oh, okay. Shit. See, as I said, everything's been messed up, so I've only gotten all my codes and all back. So, let me see. I wonder what's going on. What's going on? And I should pray. Oh my God, do I pray? Let me see. Come on, will you hurry up and load? Jesus Christ, man. This thing is like 20 years old or something, the way it's acting. Right, let me see. Okay, right, well, that's fair enough. That's I should have why is it going into that? That's weird. Right, let's see. I want to read her message, not go into some weird fucking site. Let me see now. That's fair enough. Okay. Right, Charlotte won't be with us this week, but obviously we've got one more episode to go, and then we will have that big panel review where we will be doing a review of the whole season. I better just check X just to see if Matt is coming on. He might have left me a message as well. See, I'm way behind on everything. And as I said, I want to finish before 8, okay? And I've been keeping to it, as you know, the last couple of weeks. So we're gonna do that as well. Matt is probably still in bed, but knowing him, he'll probably wake up, make his coffee, and then he'll probably pop in. If not, we'll see Matt next week or something, or as I said, we'll see him in the next couple of weeks anyway, because he has agreed to come on that big panel. So without further ado, let's bring on the two lads that I have joining me. No Queen with us tonight, unfortunately, but that can't be helped. She's a busy woman, and she deserves a little break after what she's told me. So, you know, sports days and all of that other shit can be tiring. So, yeah. So we'll see Queen Charlotte next week. So let's bring our guests on. We'll start with my usual sidekick. It's the one and only PD Rich.
Hey, I'm the only queen in the room tonight.
Yeah, he's the queen tonight, right? He's the queen tonight. And of course, this panel wouldn't be complete without him now. It's the one and only Cinnamon Toast. And here we are with his England.
I should be wearing this on an Irish stream.
Just going to tell you one thing about England. You ain't winning fuck all.
Fuck all.
Yeah, well, neither are you.
Well, listen, Ireland know what crap, right? We know what crap. right? We've no grandeur of self-importance, right? The bottom line is, right, the only reason why you will actually fall short is not because you don't have the players. You have the players. You have a shite manager. As simple as that. But we'll leave the football and let's get into the legend of Ruby Sunday. Now, lads, I went into this. Actually, I didn't even do it on the night that it aired. I didn't do it the next day, which I normally do. I actually waited until Monday to watch this. And you know what? I avoided most spoilers, but I have to say, I was not expecting that. I was not. I have to be honest. He actually stunned me. For once, he actually stunned me. He actually gave us a decent episode. I'm not saying this was world breaking or world beating, but this was definitely up there as one of RTD's. Well, definitely in this season, it's definitely his best.
Yeah.
But this would be considered, if this was part of the original RTD era, I think that's up there. I think it's up there anyway. It's very. It'd probably be classed as a very good episode, or maybe a good episode. But I loved it. The nice build-up, tension. Shooty was off the charts in this episode. Actually, for 1 second, I thought he was going to cry again, and he didn't. And I was like, "Thanks, RTD." But the anger. You got to see the anger of the Time Lord. You got to see him actually shine. This was his episode. In fairness, I mean, there's one criticism that I have, another criticism. It's only popping into my head, and someone needs to answer me this, right? I know I'm going to get criticized for this, but I don't care. He's not me, right? But what was the point of having Rose Noble in this episode? Can anybody actually tell me what the point of Rose Noble was in this episode? Because even the kid that was on the scooter had more of a fucking role than she did. What was the point of having Rose Noble there? I know she got a job with Torchwood, but this is the problem. This is why we have a problem when you do this, RTD, right? If you want to highlight trans people and all of that other stuff, right? Well, then, you know, put some meat on the bones. Will you give them something to do? I mean, it just felt like Rose was wasted. A spare part in an episode, that's another negative. But I don't have too many. I thought the pace of this was really good. I thought the acting was superb. I don't like the TARDIS though doing sliding across the fucking floor. I mean, we've seen it now, but you know what? It was kind of cool when it did, the way it came in. I did say that, but I don't want to see the TARDIS doing that either. You know, but this for me, do you know what? I'll go as far as to say is I'd watch this again. Listen, Chris Bolstrek and me and Chris are, as you know, we get on, we're friends. Chris is very disillusioned with Doctor Who and has been for a very, very long time, right? I understand see, this is the difference between me and other people. I don't attack him because of his opinions. I don't agree with him, by the way. But at the end of the day, he's entitled to his opinions, and I can understand it because I've had private conversations with him over the years. I know what this show means to him. So he's angry, like a lot of fans. So their anger is going to be reflected, just like mine was during the Whittaker era. I've just chose not to go down that route because it wasn't good for me, right? And I've tried to be fair this year, and I think I have been. I mean, you know, I don't think the episodes have been great. Well, I think this one was definitely this is definitely his best episode. It is. I mean, Shooty loved it. Millie Gibson was wasted, though. I mean, it was called The Legend of Ruby Sunday.
She wasn't there.
She didn't really have much to do, but I will say my favourite scene has to be, though, where they get the VHS tape and they do the whole fucking thing with the time fucking rift yoke, and then it all comes together. And I thought that was actually very good. And the tension build, don't move, and she's crying, and then the woman, you can't really see her face and all of this, and And it was building up, but how the Doctor, how he missed it, and didn't figure it out, is something that kind of does it a little bit, nag me a little bit. He should have figured it out way before he did, but he did eventually figure it out. But I did like this. I did. Kate Stewart. I'm actually starting to like this new Kate Stewart. I wasn't sure, but she's starting to grow into the role now. But I will say this Torchwood Tower looked like Diversity Higher Central.
Oh yeah.
I just want to make that clear. But the difference was is he actually gave most of them something to do, right? Bar, obviously, the one that he calls, remember he did an interview on Yasmin Finney saying that she was going to delight the world and all of this other nonsense. Well, he's hardly given her anything to fucking do. So I don't actually really see the point in Rose Noble even being in this episode. I actually don't see the point of Rose Noble, full stop, to be quite honest with you. But there's Zutec thing at the end. Look, we have to be kind of. I don't like the effect. I'll admit that. I don't like the way it is, the way it looks right now. But remember, that was the cliffhanger at the end where it's just coming out of the TARDIS. So we've got to see what Zutec looks like when the next episode, and see does it look better. But I have to say the CGI for me looked a bit awful there. And, I kind of get where he's going with it and what he wanted to do with it. But why not just use practical effects or so? Don't be using CGI for everything. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes putting someone in a fucking costume is the best fucking thing to do there. Do you know what I mean? So that's the major criticism I have with this. But I thought, as I said, to build up the tension, it was all there. There was this fear factor, which I think is being missing from a lot of Doctor Who episodes, especially in this era. But we had that threat, and that cliffhanger was, I don't care, bar the CGI, that cliffhanger was actually pretty decent. I was like, when that episode ended, I was like, give me the next one, right? I haven't felt like that in years with this show, and you know that. I haven't felt like that in years, and I did this time round. But I just want to bring everybody back down to earth a little bit here, right? We've had the specials, the 60th anniversary. We've had all of these other episodes leading up to this, and to me, they've been below average. So why is it taking them this long to produce something that's better than average? Good, very good. I don't know how people will judge it. People have different tastes. I'm pretty sure there'll be some that'll hate it still. But I'm not going to sit here and just jump on the bandwagon of hating it for the sake of hating it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to tell you how I felt about it, and it really was an episode that I really enjoyed. Anyway, I'll hand it over to the lads because I'm going to start with Cinnamon because, we have seen on this panel over the last couple of weeks that Cinnamon's optimism and joy has been ebbing away because of the things that RTD has been doing this season. As you know, he's been very optimistic. Even before the show dropped, he was all gun ho for it. Has RTD gained back some of your earlier optimism? What are your opinions about this story?
Better improvement from the last sort of 2 weeks. Dot and Bubble was probably my least favorite episode. Rogue was slightly better in terms of, I thought it was more watchable. But even then, it was only a slight improvement. So we've had a bit of a 2-week dross. Where again, I think I described it even just backstage and just conversations where it felt like it wasn't really Shooty playing the Doctor. It was just like for one episode of the season, it was like shooty, some sort of reality show around him where he was like, "Oh, help me find a boyfriend," kind of thing, and that he did. It felt like it wasn't really being recorded. It was like you do realize, lads, that we're recording an episode of Doctor Who now. Oh, are you? Oh, we're just having a backstage chat. So we've had a bit of a weird 2 weeks. We got the Doctor back. I would say that the Doctor's back. He got it all of it out of his system, I would say, last week. Bar a slight little flirtatious comment with Ibrahim, which is also a bit funny, because if you're this passionate about this guy that you just met, and he's telling you to find him, and then the next week you're chatting up some soldier who's been working out, but that's neither here or there. But yeah, I like this one. I was actually really gripped watching this one. I actually really enjoyed this one. I would say, is it up there with Boom? Because Boom has been my favourite of the season so far. I don't know if it's better than Boom or if it's slightly worse. Or it's up there. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm sure I will in time. But I was generally I could feel my heart pounding in it. It was generally that kind of engaging. I was really engaged in it. Even though not a lot really happens, a lot of the episode really is just kind of them standing around in Unit Tower.
That was the thing,
that's kind of a typical trope. I mean, doesn't mean
the melodrama.
It's a common thing with a lot of.
The melodrama is the thing that annoyed me. Like, RTD is good at that sort of thing, but some of the conversations that happened in that episode, Cinnamon, could have been left out. Really, it didn't add on to actually what was happening. Do you know what I mean? There was just a lot of, pointless. There was some pointless conversation, but when they stuck to the conversation and he got back to the script, it was actually decent. That's what I'm saying. If the script was just tighter and some of that needless conversation was taken out, this episode would have ran a lot more smoothly. You could have even added an extra few scenes because you probably would have had time.
Yeah. Again, but like I said, I think that's usually kind of a common thing with a lot of Russell's kind of part ones, or a lot of because it's 2 parts. Usually the first part is usually a little bit slow in setting the thing up. But like you say, just those conversations really. I mean, one of the biggest would be the whole family line when he's talking to Lethbridge Stewart, and he says, you've got kids, and he said, "Oh, not necessarily," which I took a bit of an issue with, because he's basically saying that he's got a grandchild before he's got a daughter. Now, kind of by definition of the word granddaughter, how can you have a granddaughter before you have a child? I mean, okay, we're supposed to believe that Time Lord biology and reproduction is somehow, but I have a bit of an issue with it, because it's supposed to sort of bring mystery to the character, but it does the opposite. Because the Doctor's family, we don't really know much about. We don't know if they're still alive. We don't know if they're dead. So if you sort of go out there and say, "Oh no, he can have a granddaughter before a daughter," that's actually revealing more about it. So now we know that that's now a possibility. If anything, that's revealing more about him than we knew about before. And it's like, what then? It's like, was the first Doctor messing around on Gallifrey, and then like one day Susan just appeared, and then they have to go on some sort of Jeremy Kyle show, get a DNA test, did they, and find out that she's actually his, and then he ran away and got a TARDIS, and then the rest is history. Because that just seemed kind of boring. Like, I much preferred it, even if it's just headcanon for now. I much preferred it when it was just he had a family, a wife at the time, maybe a few kids, and then he sort of, whatever happened to them, maybe something that maybe happened to them that led to his reason for leaving Gallifrey. I always quite like to subscribe to that theory, but but again, apart from weird little lines like that just reveal unnecessary things, like, "Oh yeah, I've got a granddaughter before I got children," as if that somehow makes sense. Even I get it's a time travel show, but it doesn't make sense. How can you have a granddaughter before biologically having a child? I mean, it's just silly. But again, apart from that, and again, it was only a small line, but again, apart from that, overall as a story, again, like I said, I alluded to a moment ago, I generally found it quite gripping. I was sat there like leaning forward, especially towards the end, and it was just that scene where you saw the anagram, and I kind of, it's a bit predictable. The whole triad thing, or Mince Tyler. I mean, they even kind of riffed on it. Even and I was like, okay, yeah, Doctor, even we got that. But even I could see that it was going to say Suit Tech. I had a suspicion of that, and then when it did, it was the music and the way it happened and the glitching on the screen. That actually gave me quite good chills, and it was fun because it actually felt like fun Doctor Who to me. I genuinely feel this wouldn't have felt out of place out of the previous era. I genuinely do. I don't think, there was no agenda really in this one. It was just a solid story. Even Shooty didn't even cry. There was a moment where he nearly did. He was getting watery eyes, but he didn't actually, as far as I know, I don't think
he didn't. I was delighted though, Cinnamon. But that's the thing. The fact that he didn't cry, I was absolutely delighted. And I shouldn't be delighted about things like that. But the fact is, he's been a fucking crybaby all the way through.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. We shouldn't really have to praise him for not crying, but I suppose we're in this situation, so we may as well. It was just something to point out, and I just noticed it while watching the episode. As it finished, I thought, hang on, did he cry in that one? But even if he did give a bit of a dopey looking face right at the end, but just even everything, I don't even think the CGI is bad. I've seen people say that it was bad. I didn't personally notice myself. I thought it was okay.
Listen, Pyramids of Mars is my favourite story, right? I've been saying ever since RTD came back that he'd probably bring back Sutek. I've been dropping hints all the way through. People need to go back and watch my streams. You'll actually hear me even talking Zootek. I've dropped Zootek loads of times. But this is a villain that's close to my heart because it was the first story of Doctor Who I ever watched as a kid. I've told you all this story. So for me, when I seen it coming out of the TARDIS, I have to say I think that effect looks horrible. Right now, it looks horrible. But I'll say this: the second episode of the parts to come. So when he forms completely, then I'll see what he looks like and make judgment on it then. But right now, I have to say I do think it looks awful. Like I really do. As a fan of Zootek, I think it's horrible. I really do. But that's just a personal thing, I suppose. You are right, Cinnamon. It is probably a personal thing. Do you know what I mean? But I just think, if you're going to bring a villain back like that, CGI, I don't think is the way to do it, is what I'll say. I think you should be a bit more respectful and maybe get an actor in. Proper. Forget about the CGI bollocks, for God's sake. Come on.
Well, I was going to sort of get on that because as much as I didn't mind the CGI and even the dog-looking creature, also I'd suggest people take note of the ruby that was embedded in its forehead, or keep in mind of that because I feel like that's got something to do with Ruby. But I do hope actually that at some point in the second part that we will see the original design of Sutek, not the one that we all kind of know and love, because that's how we recognizably identify him. That's his signature look. I kind of at least want to see him in that mask again. But they'll probably come up with, if it doesn't happen, they'll probably come up with some excuse like, oh, well, he was bound to a chair last time, so now he's unleashed. But but just everything. Again, I haven't really got that many negative points on it. Just a few small gripes with certain sort of like little lines again. Like I said, they're trying to sort of build mystery, but actually end up, explaining too much, if anything. They do the opposite, which is a bit of a running theme. But, again, apart from the small little issues like that, I generally thought this was quite an enjoyable story. It was nice to see Sutek back. I know Brendan on the Sense Sphere was quite happy about that because he's been saying this for a long time as well. So he was on cloud 9. They said no returning villain for this one, didn't they? And well, we got a returning villain, so that aged well. I don't know. It was just quite fun. I watched it with my partner. I just liked it. I can't actually wait for the second part. It's actually
that's what I mean. For the first time ever, I actually feel I'm looking forward to the next episode. I'm actually looking forward to that second part, and I just hope, because this is me fear, and you'll probably agree with me here because it's happened with Moffat, but it's also happened with RTD. The first part will be either half decent or brilliant, but then the second part is where the downfall actually begins. So I hope he can maintain it, but it's going to have a cracking ending as well. But you know what? For the first time in years now, and it has been years since Peter Capaldi, I'm actually looking forward to the next episode. And I never thought I'd say that. But I just want to make one thing clear from a personal point of view. It is too little, too late. In fairness,
Yeah.
you know, he should have really, you know, this quality should have been there from the very beginning, and I personally don't think it has been. But you know what? If he gives us a finale that's decent, we'll see. I don't think it's going to win fans over. I think it's too late. I think everybody will just walk away after this anyway. You'll have a few hang on now for the next season, but I don't know. But also, just very briefly, because as you know, I do, you know, I used to put out source information and stuff like that. And as you told you, I just don't do it anymore. Doesn't mean that I haven't been receiving stuff, as I've told you time and time again. So I just want to clarify something, because there has been obviously a few people out there reporting on the commission of the third series of the RTD era. And one particular YouTuber is like bragging and putting up posts on social media attacking fans because apparently he's right and everybody else is wrong. Well, I just want to actually clarify something. There has been no decision made on the commissioning of the third season of the RTD era. Right now, the concentration's on the season finale and the Christmas special. Okay, there won't be any announcement made anytime soon in relation to Doctor Who being commissioned for a third season. They don't need to actually make any announcement because they've already commissioned and as you know, already have 2 seasons in the bag, because RTD already has the second season in the bag. So nobody out there has definitive information that the show has been commissioned. I'm not sitting here and saying it won't be, right? But what I'm saying is no decision has been made on it yet. There is no rush for any decision. And RTD literally confirmed that only a couple of days ago himself in an interview that it has not been commissioned. So anybody out there that's claiming it is, right? I do know there are other people that are reporting on this, but they're saying it's rumor, right? They're not actually saying it's fact. There's one particular YouTuber and fella on social media having a go at fans that's saying it is fact, and it's not fact. And we have this every season with this person, right? So I'm not putting up with this bullshit anymore. I don't even do this anymore, but I felt compelled to say something because this fella is acting like a bit of an arsehole, having a go at people, because there has been people disgruntled over the new series, and because people have been disgruntled, he's basically having a go at them, slagging off people's thumbnails and all of that other rubbish. So I'm telling you, right, and take it from someone who has been mostly right on this channel when I have covered stuff, and you know that, right? So I don't need to prove myself to you guys because I already have. So the information that I've received is that there is no decision to be made on the 16th series. It would be 6 to 16th series, obviously, but the third series of Doctor Who is, there'll be no decision made on it anytime soon. And anybody out there, like that particular YouTuber reporting that it's fact that it's commissioned, is actually lying to you. Right? They're actually lying to you. They don't have solid information. Okay? So just wait. I'm not saying it won't be commissioned, by the way. More than likely it will be, but no decision has been made on it yet. Okay? And there'll be a review done before anything happens. Okay? Anyway, I said this a few months ago on my X as well, because people were saying it was commissioned when it wasn't. Again, you know, if you go back to that post, I've said the same thing here. There'll be no decisions made anytime soon. And it doesn't need to be, because season 2 is already commissioned, and it's already ready to go. They've even got this year's Christmas special ready to go. So they don't have to rush into any decision yet. Yeah, a lot of people know who you are talking about, or who I'm talking about, but I'm not having that shit, right? Because the bottom line is, sick and tired of these some people out there having a go at fans because, you know, they're saying right now, and they're actually talking facts here, that the show has a big commission because it's come out of RTD's mouth. But because someone out there thinks that they're bigger than what they actually are, is now pointing the finger at people and calling them out and calling their thumbnails out, and then having a go at them, saying that they're lying about Doctor Who being cancelled and all of this. And this fella doesn't even have a single fucking clue himself. So anyway, back to what we were talking about, and Cinnamon left there. So I'll let Cinnamon finish his point, and then I'm going to move on to PD Rich, and then we'll do the ratings, because as I said, there's not many negatives here this week, unless PD has some, but there actually isn't many negatives with me. As I said, just that CGI stuff, and there was a bit of that. There was some chatter there that just didn't need to happen. Do you know what I mean? But that's RTD, and it's always been RTD. He always puts in useless fucking chatter sometimes, but there's something we're used to. But Cinnamon, go on, you finish off, and then I'll hand over to PD, because we're getting close to that time, you know.
No. I mean, it's a funny one, because there's not actually a lot we can really sort of say, because it's
no.
Well, half the story, really, aren't we? Like, it's a part. That's the thing with like two parters, because you can only sort of judge like the half of it we've seen from 1 week. Like,
yeah,
it's been like, it's just, like, so far this has started really good, but like part 2 could completely derail. Yeah, like this could get worse. This could get better.
That's
so
what I mean.
Weird. It's really weird, because I mean, like they kept promoting it like, oh, we haven't had a 2-parter in 4 years, as if that was like, I don't know, a good thing. But it's like, I don't know. It's at least with the one episode per week, you can judge it on that. Where it's like we've only got half the story yet. So it's.
Can I just ask you before I move on to PD Rich? Do you think it was a mistake for them to just drop the first part? Do you think it would have been better for them to say take a 2-week break? So we had the last episode, and then we had a 2-week break, and then they dropped the 2 episodes on the same night, the 2-part. Do you think that would have been better?
Well, that's what I thought they were going to do. That's when I first heard that they were going to do the whole cinema thing. I got the impression that we were going to get Rogue, and then they'd miss a week, and then drop them on the 2. Or maybe not miss a week. Maybe this week, or we would have got the 2 episodes. I thought that's what they were going to do, because that's what they're doing in cinemas. They're dropping the 2 on one night, so you're going to be able to watch the both in one viewing, so it makes more sort of like narrative sense. Continuity wise, I guess, but I thought that was what they're going to do, but it seems no. But you know, it's I'm going to that cinema thing, and what is it, 2 days time from now? So, which is weird, because you'll actually get to see the second episode before I will, because they're going to play the first one and then the second one. So, yeah, if anyone's watching it, staying up for it, they'll see it probably before me. I'll be a bit behind, but. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see and report to you all, actually, see how many people actually turned up, and see actually how big of an event it was. They kept chanting around 20,000 people, but I think that's up and down the entire country, obviously.
Yeah, but you know what? You know, even if the episode is not the greatest, the one thing I will say, I went to a Doctor Who viewing in the cinema. Even if the episode's not the greatest, you'll have some crack with the fans.
That's why I'm going, really, because I missed the 50th. I wasn't able to see it, so, and I've always wanted to see Doctor on a massive screen like that. So yeah, that's kind of part and parcel of why I'm going, really.
Yeah.
Even if it is,
anyway, PD actually watched it with someone this week.
Oh, yeah.
Tell everybody who you watched this episode with.
Oh, I sat down and watched it with my dad for once, and he didn't really have much of a problem with it, nor did I. Strangely enough.
There you go. PD, there has to be, because I'm frustrated, right? There has to be a bit of frustration here, because we're not saying that this episode is, listen, we're not saying it's perfect. So anybody listening here, right? We're not saying that this episode is perfect, right? It does have a few issues. Are they major issues?
Like Unit as well. They've turned Unit into a crash, haven't they? They've turned Unit into a crash. There's kids everywhere.
Yeah, Torchwood is. I mean, Unit is a bit of a joke, but
Yeah.
but you know, eventually, look, that'll eventually work itself out. I believe. You know, trust me.
Yeah.
There, but PD, what? So you hadn't got a problem with it? Can I ask you though? What did you think of Shooty's performance? What was your favorite part of the episode? Actually,
I thought Shooty's performance in general was far, far better. This is the best time I've actually seen him actually playing the Doctor and not Shooty Gatwa portraying the Doctor, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, he's just played it like, oh, I'm Shooty Gatwa as a Doctor kind of thing, you know. But this time he was actually playing a Doctor.
Especially last week, it was at its worst, wasn't it? It was
God,
full on
no,
Shooty.
Luckily, I missed that one. Thank God. yeah. It was just a kind of, it was very much like an NCIS kind of episode, if you know what I mean. Very procedural episode. And I kind of liked it. It was a bit dull. It got a bit dull in places, but a bit annoyed me was a television. It's like, why would you need an old TV to run a VHS cassette? You just need a VHS player and an interface device going into a brand new screen. So I'll give Disparu credit for that one because that one is bloody crap. There was a bit of DEI casting. We had Rose back, who did absolutely nothing, and the young kid on the.
No, he had some parts to do.
I liked him. That was the bit I liked because I thought he was better than she was, and he's a younger actor.
God, yes.
And he had more lines.
He
He had more lines, but he had more to do. He was actually important.
He did. He actually had more to do. I mean, in fairness, I'm just going to say this, right? I get it that there's a tech side to Unit, so it makes sense if he was kind of there, but I just don't, this is going to come across wrong, but I don't give a shit. It's the truth. I just don't envision a kid.
Yeah, that's
like himself.
Not 13. And they give him lasers. Did you see that? They talked about that in the Unleashed. You know, it wasn't bad enough that they give, you know, a disabled woman in a wheelchair lasers and rockets, but they give him lasers and rockets too.
God.
Again, I didn't mind that because he was quite a nice enough lad, and in the Unleashed thing, he spoke like quite how excited he was to be in Doctor Who with his friends. But like you said, it's like things like that where you think, well, hang on, this is because in the same episode they also said that the Prime Minister couldn't just walk in there, so the Prime Minister can't walk in there. But you've got 13-year-olds working in there. It's supposed to be top serious. This is how big it's supposed to be, bigger than the military. And you've got
Valley,
you've got kids doing what he did, as good as he was. But you know, as good as he was, I thought again he was having far more lines than Rose did. He had far more to do. It was on the computer whizzing about. All Rose seemed to do was I sort of went with Ruby, get the VHS thing, and then went back again.
That was it. That's all that Yasmin Finney's character did in this. I mean, what's the
and she stood there so Ruby could say she looked beautiful, so she could get a bit of validation for the week, but that was about it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. What the hell was she doing in there?
I do want to ask both of you, but go on, PD, you finish your point because I do have a question for the two of you now in a minute.
I said it's because I couldn't get hold of Catherine Tate for the week. That's why she was there. But yeah, can I just say something about Bolstrek as well? Yeah. I just wanted to say, look, I can completely understand you two agreeing to disagree on this one. I used to do the same with Clobbering Time all the time, related to Star Trek Picard Season 3. I just want to say that's how adults get along.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Listen, at the end of the day, right, he'll never say anything to me for having my opinions. And he does understand where I come from. And I'm the same with him. That's why our friendship has lasted nearly, I think it's nearly 6-7 years now since I've known him. Known a lot of years that long. Do you know? And the only reason why that's able to happen is because even if we do have disagreements, even if we don't, like for a few weeks back, do you remember? I literally read all the Riot Act, every single one of you, even the people in the chat.
Yeah.
Right? Then what happened? Charlotte didn't like it. She called me out for it, and rightly so. I apologized publicly.
Yeah.
And then I apologized backstage, and we were talking, and everything was normal. That's the way adults handle their shit. But I want to ask you something, because Bobby has brought this up, and I actually agree. And I said that one of the highlights for me was Bonnie Langford.
Yeah.
Now, her character obviously has been obviously ridiculed by us classic Who fans for years. Let's be honest. But isn't it so nice? I know she was in the Sarah Jane Adventures as well.
Yeah.
But isn't it so nice to see a classic companion actually being done respectfully? Because I think she is, and her character has completely, it's grown and it's changed, and she's more, and you could take her seriously now. Whereas before you couldn't take her seriously in the classic era. Let's be honest, she was a bit of a mouth. Let's just get it out.
My favourite scene, no. I'll tell you my favourite
She was
scene.
a hyperactive Donna Noble.
Yeah. You know my favourite scene, I'll tell you. When Mel told the doctor to man up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not very 2024, is it?
No. Just it's up to Mel. It's like screaming every other episode. Tell him to man up.
Do you know what though? RTD is fascinating though, isn't he? Because throughout this whole series, he's been throwing out mixed messages to everybody. Like 1 week he'll do something for us, next week he'll do something for the crowd that he's trying to impress. Then he'll literally the next week slag them right off, and then he'll do something. I don't.
Weird,
yeah.
He just seems like a very confused person right now.
I think he's crazy. There we go. That's what I think about him. I think he needs to see it's like.
I did like Mel though. I think it's a few small issues with her because they've kind of again on that sort of confusing note, they've kind of made her a bit pathetic. Like she sort of sat there feeling sorry for herself about her family in one scene. And like I don't know, like they've kind of like made her a bit of like a wasted life. Like kind of say like, oh, she's weird. Again, that she was independent. She was finally given that sort of moment that she probably wish she could have had in the classic series, where she again infiltrating, doing the whole thing that was tapping on a palm with that thing that she could talk to the doctor.
You know what?
Being a spy and doing clever things. She on her own initiative, stuff like that.
Do you know what though? I get where you're coming from with that, with the whole she's feeling sorry for herself sort of thing, but I think that shows where RTD is actually at his best, because she's got layers to her character. She's like an onion. You peel away, the different layers to her character now. Whereas back in the classic era, she was quite one-dimensional, right? I mean, he will have to tighten that up. I will agree with you, but I think it's good that he's doing something different with the character. And some compare Sarah Jane, in fairness though, She felt sorry for herself as well. Remember in school reunion, she was feeling a bit sorry for herself. So maybe these companions do, after they have had the life with the doctor, I
suppose maybe he's looking at it that, like we all see it from, like, we see the companion travel with the doctor and that's it. So I suppose, I suppose a large part of her life, she did leave a lot behind. And like, I suppose she dedicated a lot of her life traveling with that Sablon Glitz. And then like, okay, she found herself an older woman, so when she got dropped off back at home on Earth, that's a whole lifetime that she's kind of missed out on. She's had no roots, she's I don't think she's ever had a children or anything like that. So she probably has missed a lot of it out on those opportunities because she was traveling around the universe with the doctor. And
that's it.
So I suppose maybe that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I mean, look, I still get it. It's still. I still think it could do with a bit less of that drama shy and just more of what. But as I said, we got to analyze this of what we're seeing. I do think this is the best, and I did. I have to say, I even said it to Cheryl, because me and Cheryl haven't spoken about Doctor Who at all. We won't. But this week, I actually said to her, "Did you watch it?" She says, "Yeah, I watched it before you," which she did. But then I said to her, I said, I actually really like this one. I really did. We don't talk about Doctor Who, and then we spoke about it for the first time in what's it? How long ago? It's been years, isn't it? Or something nearly now at this stage.
You mean where I willingly?
Where we can have it? Yeah, no, Doctor Who. Yeah.
It's been since
Capaldi. Since Capaldi.
Actually, it's been since before Jodie showed up.
Yeah. See? And it was the first time I was able to talk to her about Doctor Who. Lee Anthony Davis here, though, with a $9.99 super chat. Firstly, I just want to say thank you Secondly, you didn't have to do this, but I really do appreciate it. Firstly, I'd like to offer my condolences to your friend who I also knew. And secondly, I'd also like to donate to your channel as you are a friend of Mike. I mean, look, the news of Mike, I mean,
Yeah.
when I found out, I was just absolutely like everybody, gutted. And then we got the news that he'd woken up and, you know, we thought maybe something positive, but then obviously we got the news. It's bleeding horrible, man. I just thought, it's just gotten to the stage where this has just become the norm, though. You know, hate to say it, but it's the truth. It's like every day you hear in the news of someone that knows someone that knows someone. It's just heartbreaking. But as I said, all of his friends and all of his family have been, as I said, there's been tribute streams done by the YouTube community. Obviously, you know, Lee, who's in the chat, Problem Being, we were talking about him, and you know, we said we would do something there. So Lee will be coming on for that as well, because we all streamed with Mike at one stage or another. You know, I mean, as I said, he's always really supported this channel, you know, so yeah, and he supported a lot of us out there, you know, so yeah, another good man lost. But what can you know, that's just, it's horrible. It's horrible, man. Anyway, I forgot, we're not actually going to rate this week because it would be a bit stupid because it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
So I think we should rate it. Together. But you know what I'm probably going to do now? I'm probably going to watch on the night it airs because obviously now I'm actually looking forward to the episode. But what I might do is I'm going to watch the previous episodes that just dropped. I'm going to watch that an hour before the next episode. So it feels like I'm watching the two parts on the same night. I think people should do that as well. You know, if
I think that's kind of why they're doing it at the cinema, aren't they? To just sort of drop them both again, even though I've already seen it, but you know, just sort of so it makes more narrative sense.
Yeah.
So it joins up to that, and it's good because it's good to have that feeling again, isn't it? You know, actually looking forward to it, even if it's just for 1 week. It could all go wrong, but like I was genuinely gripped. Like honestly, I was at my heart was actually beating a little bit. I could feel it because I knew what was coming. Was it going to be Sutek? And then like when you started seeing them all possessed, and it was really creepy actually. Like seeing the woman possessed and like I can't Harriet Arbinger, I think her name was, and you could see the tear, you know, streaming down her eye. Maybe that was her. I don't know. It was like really sort of demonic, quite deep. I genuinely like that. Like it's like that's the thing when Russell's on it, he's actually on it. When he actually works hard, and when he blocks all out, and it actually really delivers, he can do it. That's so. What I know we talk about, and I know we debate. Oh, is he a sci-fi writer? I think when he's on it, he is. Yeah. But I think again, when he actually just blocks all the nonsense out and actually just focuses on delivering a story, he can do it. I just wish he'd do it more.
That's the thing. I agree. If he leaves out all the bullshit and he just gets on with what his brief is, we're not going to sit here and say it's going to be the most groundbreaking Doctor Who, but we had Steady Eddie for a couple of years, like, you know, Steady Eddie show. Like something that was steady, good, decent episodes. You could build on from that. But the problem is we've had what we've had before, and let's be honest, lads, it hasn't been up to standard. But you know what? If this, I said it the night of the stream, or the afternoon of the stream I did on Monday, I think it was. If this is now a sign of things to come, like say we're going to see an improvement from here on in. For me, I will watch, but I can tell you that the fandom have had enough and are walking away.
Oh yeah,
I'm still getting messages off people telling me, no, I did like the episode and stuff like that, but I just can't I can't do it to myself. I'm getting this type of stuff. Now I'm afraid to actually, enjoy it fully, because I'm afraid that if I get invested in the show again, I'm going to be let down. And there's a lot of that's going
You got
on.
the lowest overnights, didn't I think this one as well, which is funny enough because a lot of people are saying this is the better one, and I'm sure this has officially got the lowest overnights.
Yeah.
It's 2.2. It's better. It's just about going to 1, and that was the thing. Problem Bean was in the chat before on this stream, or maybe another stream, and he was saying like, "Oh, do you think it could drop down to the 1 million?" And I just couldn't see that happening. I thought, "Oh, maybe next season," but no, it's actually happened. It could happen next month.
It will happen. It's gonna happen because unfortunately what's happening here is that word of mouth is not working anymore now. So even if you do get a decent episode, look, what might happen is actually, because you've seen it in some of the 28-day consolidated figures, that what was the episode everybody thought was actually half decent before this one, and that did well.
Yards?
Yeah, that did. I think it was 73 yards, and it did well. Well, according to them, it did well in the consolidated figures. I think it was 4.5 million. But if you think 4.5 million is good in 28 days,
I'm sure everything does well if you give it long enough.
Well, then you're living on cloud 9. That's not good enough. Doctor Who and overnight should be at least getting okay. It's on at midnight. They can use that excuse, right? But I think RTD now needs to listen. You've tried the American experiment, given them blah blah blah. It needs to go back to prime time on BBC now for the next season. Seriously, stop this bullshit midnight crap, right? Because I think that's being used anyway to cover up what's really going on. I've also been told, and I've also seen other people report on it. Apparently, Disney is actually, is trying to bury the ratings. They don't want anybody to see it because apparently it's really, really bad. And I think there's a YouTuber, I don't know who it is, but someone has said that they've gotten the leaked information, which proves that they've been manipulating the ratings. And they have. Sure, Lee, who's in there, Problem Being, who's actually in there, came on here and actually showed on X that Disney were manipulating the ratings. They were literally added what was it, 4 days, Lee? Wasn't it 4 days to the extra days onto the 7-day figure, wasn't it, to boost it up? I think it was. So
even the 28 days aren't enough anymore. I've seen one sort of try to make an argument about rankings, and I thought, well, that's a whole different argument. Like that, like if you're discussing ratings, that's just in this show. But if you're talking about rankings, that's other shows as well, isn't it? So if you're going to judge it on its own success, because if you look at things like Bluey, and obviously all the kids that people put have Disney Plus 4, that obviously do well. It was like they're constantly shifting. What's next? 6 month consolidated rating, 1 year. I'm sure if we look at Raw and all the ratings that we've managed to collect in the 20 years, or nearly 20 years.
Well, that's why I'm not bothering with the ratings. I'm not even bothering arguing with people that are spinning the ratings. Jordan the Whittaker era spent a lot of time on Mr. TARDIS and other people like that were spinning the ratings. Right. The bottom line is, listen, these people are just going to spin no matter what. You're not going to talk sense into them. You're not going to convince them otherwise. As far as they're concerned, this show is a massive success. And they're also sellouts as well, because it's nice to sell out the fandom. You get goodies and you get invited to things and all of that. You sell out and you blow smoke up RTD's ass. Do you know what I mean? So it pays to be a traitor and a little sellout. So, I wouldn't be listening to them. Listen, you guys know from your years and experience of watching Doctor Who where these ratings realistically should be. And I'll tell you where they should be realistically. And I'm taking into account the last season, the Peter Capaldi's era and the Chibnall era, right? And if I combine if I think in me head back in the time of how successful they were and not so successful they were, I could tell you now that, to me, in this day and age, after what the show has suffered, that overnights of 6 million would be respectable in my opinion. Right?
Totally.
I'm not even saying let's go to the heyday of the 12 million, the whatever it was back in the day. You're never going to get that, right? Never, ever, right? But I thought to myself, 5 or 6 million is fucking respectable in the overnights if he was doing his job properly. And we can't even get that, right? So, I mean, it's, you know, so let them spin it, guys. Don't be even worrying about these people spinning it. Let them live in their own little bubble and spin it all they want. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, right, Disney don't give a shit about spin, right? BBC won't give a shit about spin. The bottom line is, if this show starts losing money or they don't think it's viable to keep it going, they'll pull the plug. It's as simple as that, right? So beyond it, so people need to, like, you know, get a grasp of reality here. You know, the situation is not good. But he did deliver something decent this week. Now, you better not screw it up. If he does, I swear, I'll actually go mad. I actually will, because I'm looking forward to the next episode.
That's what I'm dreading.
As I said,
even
I'm
in the
not
old
happy with the
Russell
two
Spence
text
era, it was still, you know, this is part twos. We usually look quite as, you know, he'd build it up, and then the payoff would, you know, always be a little bit controversial, even back in the day.
Enigmatic Joker is reminding me. Don't worry, I've got an eye on the time. I'm finishing up now. Don't worry about it. Because we're all gonna hopefully watch Scotland beat Switzerland. They have to win. So come on, the Scots.
I don't. Come on, Switzerland.
Anyway, because he's English. See, I'm Irish and I'm up for the Scots. He's English and
don't care.
You notice that? See that? Even now, he won't put football rivalry aside and support his Scottish.
Well, no, but if you don't, I'd love to sit there and say, do you know what? You're a British nation, you know. I wish them best. But they sit there and they're so obsessed because they'll say, "Oh, I'd happily lose. I'd happily go out in the groups if it meant England don't win it." That's the mentality we're dealing with, folks. And they all group together, the Irish and the Scottish and even the Welsh, celebrating like mad when we fail. It's
you know
beautiful.
why we celebrate? No, but hang on. I'm going to defend that.
I know. The English arrogance. We all know.
English media. It's the arrogance of the English media. It's the arrogance of some fans out there. Do you know that there's actually some fans that have already calculated, right, and already got you that path through the final, right? If you finish first or second in the group. See, this is the thing that annoys other fans. We don't go over to these tournaments with expectations. Right, we go over to enjoy ourselves. England fans go over. We've already seen them along with the Georgia fans and the Serbian fans. You know, kicking up stink, right? And bragging that you are going to win. You have the best team. You do have the best team, but you have the worst manager.
Yeah, France, I think that's the point. We should be doing a lot better.
But they have a better manager. So my money is on France to actually win the whole tournament. I don't even think England will get into the final. I actually think they'll get out of the group where I think he's will be knocked out in the quarters. I don't think he's are good enough. Your manager is a clown, right? Listen, they're all talking about where to put Foden. You put Foden in his position, right? You either do this, right? You play Foden as the false 10, right? You play Bellingham as the attacking midfield player. Then you play Rice and Kobe Mainoo, or if you don't trust Kobe Mainoo, put another midfielder in there with Rice, right? Have Rice a little bit back forward because he's the last line, and have the other midfielder just a little bit past him. So the both of them are essentially holding midfielders, but one has the license to move forward while the other one covers, and then you've got your back four. You've got Saka on the left instead of Gordon on the left, and you have Gordon on the right, so they can whip the balls in instead of coming in the inside, cutting in on the inside like they always do, right? That team that I picked, you're dropping Harry Kane, by the way, right? So Harry Kane is not playing. He's on the bench. You're putting Foden in his position. You're putting Bellingham where he should be, where he's already playing. And then you have Kobe Mainoo and fucking Declan Rice. Then you are winning the Euros, right? You don't even need a striker. You need to be playing. These are best players in their best positions. And that's the only way that you get Foden and fucking Bellingham in the same squad and get the best out of them by putting them in their positions where they should be. It's as simple as that. You ain't winning jack shit with that fucking has-been, right? I mean, the fact that Manchester United were even looking at him for a manager is an absolute joke. Thanks be to God they came to their senses, and Eric Ten Hag is...
No, we're putting the chat to sleep.
Anyway, I'm gone anyway, so Lee can take all these naps off he wants. Go ahead, old man.
Lee's in a coma.
Anyway, lads and ladies in the chat, enjoy the rest of these week. I will be back. I'll probably pop on before the weekend and just see if there's any more news going about. You know yourselves anyway. But I'll let the lads do their shout outs real briefly. I forgot about that shit. Do use their shout outs and then we'll end it there. Great. And they've done their shout out. So that was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You can join him on his.
I didn't know who was going first.
I was being polite.
Fucking hell. Right. Anyway, Cinnamon Toast. They're still not talking. Jesus Christ, PD, go for it.
Okay, you can always find me on Rabbis in the chat, and yeah, that's about it at the moment.
Grand. Fantastic. Oh, we don't want that to come true. Cinnamon.
Well, you can find me under the same name, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, on both Twitter, X really. I'm always still doing that. And on YouTube. I do plan to do my own sort of deep dive of these episodes in full time once the season's all done and dusted. So keep on the lookout for that at some point.
Fantastic. And we're already 2 minutes into the Scottish game. I'm pissed. Anyway, you can find me here on the Noel Zone. So if you haven't subscribed, but I bet most of you already have, so no point me saying that, but you know what to do anyway. Also, just a little quick thing, the Irish Zone has actually passed 4,000 subscribers. And the channel actually continues to fucking grow. So to everybody that has been supporting that channel, I'm blown away. So thank you very much. But I never envisioned I'd have a channel with over 4,000 subscribers. But there you go. Wow. Anyway, I'll talk to you all very soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And don't buy into the global boiling bullshit, because it is bullshit. Anyway, see you later. Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Up the Scots.
Up the borough.